Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory be unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and peace, salutations, and blessings be unto the hopeful elect, pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the globe, in the sincere hopes of being delivered in these last days. This is the brother Yakanan from the GMS England branch. As you can see here, this is taken from the apple.com website, and it says Apple introduces digital ID, a new way to create and present an ID in Apple Wallet. Okay, now I believe news of this first came to light a few years ago, and I think at the time, if I'm not mistaken, I'd done a video on it, but the plan, wasn't fully carried out, back at that time. But as we can see, it's of no coincidence that this has re-emerged at this time when you have so much talk of digital IDs, especially when you consider over here in the UK, you had the huge news concerning digital IDs and how it's going to lead to a social credit score system, and you had people marching, protesting, so on and so forth. And that's still, something that's ongoing, all right? And that's something that they're going to go ahead with. And again, these things are not a coincidence, and they're not happening for no reason, all right? They're happening to push an agenda, and they're happening to usher in the MOTB beast, system, okay? And ultimately to usher in and manifest the Revelation 13 and 16, the mark, all right? The implantable device that is going to be made mandatory, upon the earth to all that have a desire, or rather have a need, to take part in the grid of Esau Edom, okay? So it says, digital ID offers a secure and private way for users to create an ID in Apple Wallet using information from their US passport and present their ID with iPhone or Apple Watch, okay? So this is where things are heading. First, you could host your, credit, debit card, so on and so forth on your phone, Apple Pay, Android Pay, so on and so forth. And now, your digital ID now has a place in this system. Okay? So this is where the world is heading. And this is a group effort with all the ruling, elites throughout the four corners of the globe, to bring this forth. Of course, headed by, the wicked elites and the ruling, banking families, all right? Namely, the Rothschilds, the secret council of the wicked spoken of in Psalms, the 64th chapter, okay? So it says, Apple today announced the launch of digital ID, a new way for users to create an ID in Apple Wallet using information from their US passport and present it with the security and privacy of iPhone or Apple Watch. At launch, digital ID acceptance will roll out first in beta at TSA checkpoints at more than 250 airports in the US. For in-person identity verification during domestic travel, with additional digital ID acceptance use cases to come in the future. All right. So that's heavy. All right. That's real heavy. And as I said, this is all leading to the MOTB. All right. As we say, this is one step closer to the mandatory implementation of the mark. All right. Now here's another article. This is from Gadget Hacks, and it says Apple Digital ID launches for TSA at 250 plus US airports. It says fumbling your wallet in the TSA line is a modern ritual. Apple is trying to end it. The company's digital ID launch pushes smartphone-based identification from idea to airport reality, letting iPhone and Apple Watch users in the United States store digital passport credentials in Apple Wallet for use at TSA checkpoints at more than 250 airports, okay? And it says here the capability was first tied to the iOS 26 release, though TechCrunch reports the feature stayed in development after the platform's debut. Now, I believe that's what I done a video on at the time. You know, the new iOS release that was 26. And it was said that it was going to be included on there, but I don't think they actually done it. And they continued, working on it in the background. And now it's, been made official. And now it's going to be available. Okay? So, it says the timing was no accident. Real ID enforcement kicked in for millions of travelers in May 2025, and digital ID stepped in as a federal alternative by enabling passport-based verification, as noted by TechCrunch. Apple did not just ship a feature, they parked themselves right where a regulatory headache met domestic air travel. Okay, so again, it was no accident. It was no coincidence concerning the timing, all right, the timing of the launch. Okay, it was all planned. Okay, it was all perfectly planned in order to come out at this time where everyone is talking about digital IDs and social credit score systems and what it means and how this is going to, compromise your, liberty and so on and so forth. Okay? So this is heavy. Now let's get a few scriptures and then we'll close out. This is Habakkuk chapter 2, and we'll start from the top. And it says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision, and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. Okay? And that's what we're doing, all right? We're making the vision, plain upon tables. We've been warning you, we've been telling you concerning biblical prophecy, concerning the beast system, and concerning the MOTB, Revelation 13 and 16, what it entails and what it means for you if you take it, which the judgment is written in Revelation the 14th chapter for those that take that mark. Okay? There's no coming back from that. All right? You're going to have to perish and come back in the kingdom as a newborn babe. All right? If you're an Israelite. Now it says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Okay? So the vision is yet for an appointed time, and at the end it shall speak. So we're seeing how these prophecies, these events that are playing out upon the earth, these are the prophecies speaking in these last days. Okay? Everything we've been warning you about, everything we've been telling you about through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai is coming into fruition and into reality in these last days. Okay? This digital transformation that's taking place upon the earth. This is all biblical prophecy. And these are things that we've been warning you about through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. It's happening. Okay? It is actually happening. And this is a confirmation of our faith. So again, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. So these prophecies are speaking, okay? They're speaking in these last days, man, and it's undeniable. And the closer that we get to the end of this man's kingdom is the more that these prophecies are going to continue to speak and continue, to be fulfilled. Okay? Not only are we seeing the signs, but we're actually going to start seeing these prophecies actually being fulfilled. All right? To the point where we're actually going to be like, it's happened now. This is it. Okay? That day, which that day is going to be very soon, when they make mandatory that mark, hey, that's what we're waiting for. And we know it's going to happen. All right? Any moment now, that mark can be made mandatory upon the earth. Okay? They can cause a sequence of events to play out upon the earth that's going to catapult, the people into fear and into the correct mind state to accept that mark. Okay? False flags, whatever, they choose to do, it's gonna be done, all right, in order to fulfill this prophecy, man. Okay? So this was just a brief update, concerning this new capability, of the iPhone. All right, concerning this digital ID, okay, in your phone. And this is on the official, Apple website. All right. So check it out. Shalom.